Good evening. I'm determined that I do not need to use a gavel, so let's go with that for now. Let's see how it works, okay? I'm resisting, yes. Matter of fact, I'm going to put it over the other side of Tony, so it's not even a... Welcome to the first and last December meeting of Snellville City Council. The time is 7:39. I apologize for our late start. I promise you that we're not starting a pattern. We just ran over a little bit in the exec session tonight. Being our first one, we'll get better at it, and we will start at 7:30. Okay, invocation. Brittany Marmol is going to give the invocation.
If we'd all bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day, and thank you for bringing us here safely, and watch over the city of Snellville and just touch us and watch over, protect us, and let's bring many good things to the city of Snellville in 2016. And thank you for everything that you do for us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. You're going to lead the Pledge of Allegiance? Roger Marmo will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, Roger. Okay, under ceremonial matters. If you notice, the seat to my left, your right is vacant, and we're about to change that. I am appointing Melissa Arnold to the position of city clerk for the city of Snellville. Melissa, if you'll come forward, we'll swear you in. Give me my proclamation. Now I'll read a proclamation. Proclamation number 2015-36. Whereas Dick Ackerman began his employment with the city of Snellville on September 1st, 2005 in the administration department as the facility manager. And whereas Mr. Ackerman has been employed by the city for the last 10 years, and whereas during his tenure, he has been an employee who exemplifies dedication and the willingness to go above and beyond for coworkers and citizens alike, and whereas he will celebrate his 80th birthday on Christmas Day, and whereas we would like to express our appreciation to Mr. Ackerman for his service and wish him a happy birthday. Therefore, I, Tom Witz, Mayor of the city of Snellville, Georgia, where everybody is proud to be somebody, do hereby join in with City Council and the citizens of Snellville to proclaim December 15th, 2015 as Richard J. Dick Ackerman Day in the city of Snellville. Mr. Ackerman, if you come forward and get your proclamation. I will say, as a newly elected councilman and a newly elected mayor, you can't find many more better friends in City Hall than Dick Ackerman, because he knows where all the bodies are. And he kind of points you out, lets you know where to go and how to get there. So I appreciate you, Dick. Okay, where's my agenda? Now we have another proclamation. Mayor Pro Tem Howard, give you the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. All right. We do have a proclamation. Mary, I see you out there. This is proclamation 2015-37 for the Gwinnett Community Clinic. Whereas the Gwinnett Community Clinic, otherwise known as GCC, was created in 1989 by original founders Pam Kramer, RN, Dr. Lawrence Lesser, and Madeline Estefan, deceased, and whereas was formed as a large-scale volunteer effort spearheaded by Dr. Lawrence, Lanny Lesser, Pam Kramer, and Madeline Estefan to provide access to basic health care for medically indigent citizens of Gwinnett County, and whereas it was the only facility of its kind in the county and supplemented the efforts of the two local hospitals, and whereas shortly after the founding and the opening of the clinic, Dr. Norman Freed founded the gynecology clinic that operated as part of the Gwinnett Community Clinic, and whereas since its humble beginnings, it has cared for thousands of residents in Gwinnett County who had otherwise gone untreated. And whereas more than 100 healthcare professionals, including nurses, physicians, pharmacists, social workers, lab technicians, and a host of others, have given their time to serve the poor who badly needed medical attention. And whereas the Gwinnett Community Clinic was inspired by God, developed by servants, continued by volunteers, the clinic gave care to those in the Gwinnett community with who otherwise would have gone untreated. Therefore, Mayor Tom Witts, the mayor of the city of Snellville, where everybody is proud to be somebody, do hereby join with the city council and the citizens of Snellville to proclaim December 14th as Gwinnett Community Clinic Day in honor of their service to the community. Mary, I'd like for you to come down here and bring whoever you want to bring to accept the proclamation.
We have one more ceremonial matter, and I'll give the floor over to Councilman Marlowe.
All right. It gives me great honor to award this 2015 Volunteer of the Year award because I love volunteerism, so it gives me great honor to award a volunteering award. But this year's Volunteer of the Year has been a resident of Snellville for over 45 years and has been volunteering and serving in our community, helping others and donating their time. This person was active with the Snellville Lions Club, Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts, camping clubs, and was very involved with volunteering for our local schools and even held an office with the PTSA. This person has been a member of the Senior Center since before we moved it into the current building. They have helped with many events and have worked every year with us at Snellville Days. There is no doubt that this person has helped to make Snellville a better place to live. They have truly gone above and beyond to volunteer whenever and wherever they are needed. Please help me in congratulating this year's Volunteer of the Award winner, Mary Jane Gusham.
of changes and everything. It's a wonderful place to live, and I thank each and every one of you who's made this possible.
Congratulations to all those who received their proclamations. At this time, we'll approve the minutes. Sorry about that. At this time, we have the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes for the October 26th, 2015, and the November 9th, 2015 meeting?
Motion to approve the minutes of the October 26th and November 9th, 2015 meetings.
I have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Marmol. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. That's 6 in favor. That's unanimous. There's no dissension. The meeting's minutes are approved. Next, we have our invited guests. We have a friend of Snellville, a former mayor of the city of Suwanee, and currently with Partnership Gwinnett, and a good friend,
Good evening.
Mr. Messino.
Mayor,
Welcome.
congratulations in person.
Thank you very much.
Great to see you. Council, Mr. Sanders, good to see you. Hello, everyone. I'm here, Nick Messino with Partnership Gwinnett. I also want to introduce Andrew Carnes, who's the Director of Economic Development and works every day with Eric and the rest of the cities on economic development projects. I know I'm between you and dinner, so we will be as brief as you know as I can be, which is not that brief.
That is true.
And here is our problem.
Do we have a 5-minute clock?
Right, start ticking. It's an honor to be here, especially with your first night proceeding over the full council meeting, so it truly is an honor. I just wanted to let you know that Partnership Gwinnett, we have 9 full-time people. Andrew will mention one opening we have in case there's any great candidates in Snellville. We are very active, fully staffed. One of the newest things that happened this year is through a public fundraising effort last year, we were able to hire two new people, one of which is Adam Ferran. Adam gets up every day working on an internship initiative. He's traveled to Indianapolis and Columbus, Ohio to look at their internship initiatives. And we believe that in a year, we'll have one of the probably world-class, if not the best internship initiative in all of the United States. We're working with Georgia Gwinnett College with the new career academies at Gwinnett County Public Schools and also at Gwinnett Technical College. Our goal is that every student that has the interest in getting experience when they leave Gwinnett County, if it's any of those institutions, has actually worked. That's probably the newest initiative that we're working on at Partnership Gwinnett. I wanted Andrew to talk about really the meat and potatoes of what do we do every day, which is jobs and investments for Gwinnetians, Snellvillians, and everyone else in Gwinnett. So Andrew, why don't you just say a few words?
Thanks, Council. I appreciate you guys having us in this evening. I really do appreciate it. Just wanted to really come in and introduce myself, Andrew Carnes, Director of Economic Development for Partnership Gwinnett and the Gwinnett Chamber. I want to talk a little bit about the companies that we're able to work with in locating into Gwinnett County as a whole. We're able to work with about 20 different companies, looked at about 1,800 jobs that these companies created whenever locating. The 3 largest was going to be Snellville, which is roughly 500 jobs. You have Level 3, which is 350 jobs. And then last but not least, you have Comcast, which is 150 jobs. So I think we're moving in the right direction, especially with the IT-type companies that we want here in Gwinnett County. But just like I said, I want to talk a little bit about the jobs, which is 1,800. You're looking about $180 million capital investment, which is an increase of about $50 million from 2014. And so, and currently in the project pipeline, we have about 90 projects that are companies that are looking in Gwinnett County as a whole. And so, once again, thank you very much for having us this evening. And once again, Mayor, welcome.
Mayor and Council, I put 3 things in front of you before you all came in. One is our 2015 annual report that was actually passed out on Friday at our annual summit at Georgia Gwinnett College. And also, we spent $15,000 marketing Gwinnett County and all the opportunities in Gwinnett in the Atlanta Business Chronicle. This was 3 weeks ago. That is in your packet as well. I know that you all have great plans for the city, and as you do so, we obviously work very closely well, actually, many of the city council members, Eric and Butch, and we'll make sure that the new things that you all come up together as a group, we'll be promoting and marketing to the region. Lastly, I just wanted to mention, some of you may have seen this, is our redevelopment guide. When we're marketing Gwinnett County, the municipalities, community improvement districts to developers, this is the guide. Wanted to make sure you all saw this. You're in it. And again, working closely with Eric, anything you update as you all are on the same page, we'll change gears and market whatever the new concepts are that you all are coming up with. Do you have any questions for Andrew or myself? Thank you very much. Mayor, would you mind if we do your first ever selfie while on council? In the council chambers? Would you?
Do we have any additions to the agenda?
Yes, Mayor, I would like to amend the agenda under number 7, committee department reports, to add a report from STAT by Gretchen Schultz.
Okay, so that'll be item E, stat report. Do I need a motion? Change your motion, is there a second? Have a motion and a second, any discussion? Call the question, all those in favor signify by raising your right hand. That's 6 in favor, it's unanimous. The agenda amendment stands. First committee report is from planning and zoning, Mr. Joe Williams.
First of all, I want to say that last week it was a nice photo op here, but tonight it's perfect. We had two things in our last meeting. Excuse me. I've been fighting the flu. The piece in front of Old Hickory Village at Old Hickory Station, which is Dr. I can't say his name. It's a pediatric clinic and daycare. That passed with subdivision, homeowners association here in support of it. He did several things to accommodate any of our concerns, and they were very easy and good to work with. So that was moved forward by the City Planning Commission. Next one was the Kroger Center there at Rosebud and 78. We had tabled that to get some feedback on some traffic study situation with the city traffic engineer. That feedback came in, everything was positive, everything was to the Planning Commission's liking, so we moved that forward as a recommendation for approval also. Are there any questions?
Other commissioner? I have just a note. Your December 22nd Planning Commission is canceled, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you very much. Arts Commission, Mr. Kirk Bice.
Thank you and good evening. The big thing we've got with the Arts Commission coming up is on January 30th, which is a Saturday at 1 p.m. We're going to dedicate the labyrinth out front by the senior center that should be finished at that time. It's also possible that the sculpture that's designed to hide the sewer grates, whatever that drainage thing is out there, it's possible that will be up too, but we don't know. The artist is working on that now. We do, if anybody's interested, we do have one opening on the Arts Commission at this time. We'd love to get lots of different folks involved. And we have moved our meetings to the first Monday of every month. So our next meeting is on Monday, January 4th at 6:30 here at City Hall. And the last thing I would like to mention is that we, the Arts Commission, would like to put a bug in everybody's ear, and this means everybody, that we think Snellville really needs an arts center. And we've talked to a couple of you about this, and hope, we know that all of you are in favor of the arts and you're promoting the arts, but we would like for you to try to push a little bit more in that area. Snellville needs an arts center. Appreciate your time. Any questions? All right.
Thank you, I think. So far, between work session tonight and tonight, I've got $3 million spent. And I just walked in the room. CID report, Kelly Andrews. Is Kelly here? Okay, city manager's report, Butch Sanders.
Mayor, I just have a couple of things. You have in front of you a book. That's your Christmas present this year from me. Earlier this year, I read a book called The Boys in the Boat. Probably one of the most inspiring teamwork books I have ever read, about a group of people that came together, didn't know each other, came from different backgrounds, different areas. They went to the University of Washington in 1932 as freshmen, and they joined the crew. In 1936, 4 years later, rowing together as a perfect team, they won the gold medal in Berlin for the United States in front of Adolf Hitler. And I just want to read one part of that book. It says, "Rowing a race is an art, not a frantic scramble. It must be rowed with head power as well as hand power. From the first stroke, all thoughts of the other crew must be blocked out. Your thoughts must be directed to you and your own boat. Always positive, never negative." That's how you succeed. That's how the 6 of y'all have come together over the past few months, put a work plan together, and you're ready to unify this city. I think this book will be instructive of that, and I look forward to working with you over the coming years. Thanks.
Thank you, Butch. Gretchen Schultz, Snellville Tourism and Trade Report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm giving this report in place of Kelly McAloon, our Executive Director, who was unable to be here tonight. And first of all, I'd like to say, on behalf of STAT, we want to extend our congratulations to everyone on the election. And we can't tell you how pleased we are to have a council that we feel will support STAT and will work with us. And we are ready and geared up to bring Snellville only the very best in 2016. We want to thank everyone who sponsored and volunteered at our Christmas tree lighting on November 28th. We could not have such successful events without the help of our wonderful volunteers and sponsors. The tree lighting was attended by thousands and very well received in the community. It was wonderful to get emails and text messages saying how wonderful the event was. Kelly has several pictures from the event that will be posted in the next few days, and she apologizes for not being able to get them up any sooner. We want to thank Sherry Beebe for helping to take the pictures of the parade. Many thanks to Carrie Hetherington and her crew for starting the parade on time and making sure it ran smoothly. And a very huge thanks to our sponsors, Walton EMC, 12 Stone Church, the Gwinnett Citizen, Wages Funeral Home for the s'mores, Bill Rhodes Bakery for the cookie decorating, Michael's for the ornament making, Lowe's and Home Depot for the Build It activities, Hilltop Pond, Summit Chase Country Club, Secure Lock Storage, Southeast Urgent Care, and Wild Wing Cafe. We could not have events of this caliber without sponsors. A special thanks to all the volunteers who helped at the event, especially cleaning up. We ran on a skeleton crew toward the end of the night, and we want to really thank the mayor and council for staying to help us finish cleaning up and taking down lights. We want to thank the city of Snellville for their continued support, and to the Snellville Police Department for keeping us safe throughout the event. And we'd also especially like to thank our Public Works Department as they work hard preparing for all of our events. Thank you again, Craig Barton, Gay Johnson, and your Public Works team for all you do. Snellville Tourism and Trade will hold a retreat in January and begin planning for a spectacular 2016. So be prepared, Snellville, for an awesome 2016. And if anyone would like to volunteer, please visit our website at www.snellvilletourism.com. And on behalf of the community garden, I would like to express our thanks to the Parks and Rec Department for helping us to fix the fence in the garden that was damaged by a tree that fell. And I'd also like to make you aware that we are erecting our greenhouse at this point. It's coming along really, really well. So are there any questions you have?
Any questions, Ms. Schultz? Thank you very much, Gretchen.
Thank you.
Okay, now we'll move on to our public hearing. Item A, second reading, ZOA 15-02, consideration and action on a text amendment to Article 12, sign ordinance of the 2001 zoning ordinance of the city of Snellville, Georgia.
Thank you,
Jason?
Mayor. Thank you, Council. What you have before you tonight is a little bit of housekeeping. Comes from the result of a recent United States Supreme Court decision, Reed versus the town of Gilbert, about identifying instances where language could be considered content-based. There was an overview of our ordinance. There was a few recommended changes, which is what been supplied to you, and we would ask that you would approve them, please.
Any questions of Jason? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve ZOA 15-02.
Second.
Any discussion by council? Is there anyone in the audience that would like to come up and have either pro or con against this ordinance? I apologize to you, I'm new at this. Seeing none. Okay, I'm going to call the question. All those in favor of approval of ZOA 1502 signified by raising your right hand. That's 6 in favor. No opposition. The motion carries. Second reading, RZ 15-06, consideration and action on application by Dr. George Katzadazzi, pediatric partner of Gwinnett, to modify certain conditions of zoning approval 8/28/2000 for rezoning case 00-06 and request a variance for the 3.426 plus or minus acres office and retail development zone general business district and located at 2045 to 2075 East Main Street, Snellville, Georgia. Tax parcels are R5059 248, 485, 486, and 487. Mr. Thompson.
Thank you, Mayor. Once again, this is RZ 1506 is requesting a change of conditions. The application is put forward by Dr. George, and he's being here represented tonight by Mr. Daniel Marks. The zoning modification is from a prior set of conditions on case RZ 00-06, and the request is to be able to substantially vary from the originally submitted site plan. The current zoning is BG, general business. You have Old Hickory to the rear of the development, the old diner to the east. To the west is an adjacent tract, and across the street is the insurance office and a car dealership. What's being proposed here is 4 parcels totaling 3.43 acres. The original intent of the proposal is to erect a 9,600 square foot pediatric medical office. That's the primary purpose of the development, with future development coming in the form of 7,800 plus or minus retail and medical office, as well as another 12,000 square foot daycare facility. I have 107 spaces and access from Hickory Station Drive and US Highway 78. The original development as zoned encompassed a little larger area. It had 21,000 square feet of retail, 25,600 square feet of office space, and then 205 parking spaces. The new plan will reduce parking and total square footage. They haven't submitted a landscape plan at this time. However, they've agreed to adhere to all the codes with little variance. They have submitted an architectural renderings for 2 of the 3 buildings. Which will be in general compliance with the plans, or excuse me, in the ordinance right now. They have requested a few variances as well. One that they've requested that the site be approved as one, and site-specific approvals would be with the master plan. Basically, you're going to approve the master plan with some small deviation if they've requested it. They've also requested a buffer reduction along the rear of the property adjacent to the subdivision, which was already built and designed with that reduction in mind. Zoom in on that. There's a large brick wall there now and several evergreen plantings that are actually on the current property owner's property, so the residents are getting about 15 feet of free yard on their end. They've asked to reduce the corner yard setback along Hickory Station Drive. We recommended approval for that. And one of the corridor requirements is that it be a minimum of 2 stories. The 1-story building with the parapets is pleasing aesthetically, and we recommend approval for that. They've also put some very specific language as far as how they can vary in the future. It kind of nails down that term, substantial variation. It gives definition to that, typically less than 5% either way, and any reduction in square feet that they wouldn't be required to come back in front of you guys. We recommended approval with that, and furthermore, we recommend approval for the project with the conditions that we've submitted in the agenda packet. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of staff?
What is the buffer reduced to?
I believe
From
it's
to.
60 to 20 feet as shown. Let me make sure. Yes, 60 to 20 with the brick wall that's currently there, as well as evergreen plantings on the homeowner side, plus some new ones on the commercial project.
Does that 15 feet include the space behind the wall?
Yeah, you can see on the map up there, you can see where the parcels end and where their property begins, and the brick wall is actually a little bit closer to them. It does encompass that entire space. And there was no objections by any of the homeowners, just so everyone knows.
Is that it? You good? Okay, thank you. Is the applicant in the room?
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is Daniel Marks with Nichols Land and Investment in Athens, here on behalf and representing Dr. George Katsadachi for this. Appreciate your consideration in this site plan amendment so that we can get a pediatrician's office built and put in there as quickly as possible.
Okay, thank you. Let's now open it to public hearing. Anyone wants to speak either for or against, please come forward at this time. Seeing no one, call the question, or I'll ask for a motion.
Motion to approve RZ 15-06 with the staff recommended conditions.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion by council?
Just a clarification, there were 12 staff recommended conditions, but then there were 16 for planning commission. Did you want just the staff? Am I on the right project?
I can clarify that. What we would ask to be approved are the ones, the list, the conditions-only list that we give to you, which encompasses staff recommended condition, planning commission recommended conditions, all molded into one.
You satisfied with that answer, Ms. Bennett?
All conditions.
Satisfied? Okay. Seeing no more discussion, call the question. All those in favor of approval of RZ 15-06 signify by raising your right hand. That's 6 in favor. There's no opposition. The motion carries. Now we go to item C, annexation number 15-02, land use permit 15.04, and rezoning 15.05, and conditional use permit 15-06. Consideration and action application by Cinecoin Investment LLC requesting annexation by the city of Snellville to amend the land use plan to retail, to amend the official zoning map to BG, general business, district conditional use permit for a fuel center, and variance from a code of ordinances for a 123,000 square foot Kroger Marketplace store on 22.84 plus or minus acreage tract located at the 1000 Athens Highway, Snellville, Georgia. Tax parcels are 5100, 005, 006, 023, 059, and 065. Mr. Thompson.
Mr. Mayor, before staff does the report, this is a little unusual situation where we haven't done an annexation along with rezoning and land use plan amendments. And I just want to make sure the public knew the procedure that you went through. There's a code section, OCGA 3666-4D, which requires that we complete all of the zoning procedures with respect to the property to be annexed, except for the final vote, including the zoning hearing prior to the adoption of the annexation. So there will be a presentation by staff, public hearing on the zoning matters, which there are 2 zoning matters that actually change the classifications. And then there is, prior to that, there will be a land use plan adoption. So all of that public hearing takes place, followed by the vote on the annexation, then the land use plan amendment, and then the 2 zoning actions would follow that by separate vote.
All right, as long as
You're
you're
keeping a
up with
chart
that.
out there?
Right.
That's why he sits here.
That's right. Okay, thank you. Get comfortable. This one's going to take a little while, but the Kroger Company is represented by Ron Hawkins is here requesting the annexation land use plan designation from 78 East Activity Node and a county designation of corridor mixed use to a city designation of commercial retail. They're also requesting a zoning map amendment from various city and county designations to BG, general business. Part of the application also is a request for a conditional use permit to operate 9 pump fuel station located adjacent to Highway 78 at the corner of Rosebud. You can see on the map the different parcels, which are where they lie in the county, their land use, and ultimately their zoning. Once again, this is located on the corner of US 78 and Rosebud, near the border of Snellville and unincorporated Gwinnett County. It's a total of 5 parcels that total 22.84 acres. They're making application for 123,000 square foot Kroger Marketplace, a new concept that houses many different businesses within one space, a coffee shop, a jewelry store, several other kind of retailers and service providers. They've also asked to be able to expand with a 29,000 square foot expansion if they're successful. A 3-lane pharmacy, 9,000 square feet of shops area, over 500 parking spaces, 2 out parcels, 2 access drives on Rosebud, as well as 2 access drives on US 78, one with a planned traffic light, as you can see, kind of at the bottom of the hill adjacent to the creek. Once again, they're requesting a land use map amendment. After looking at our codes, we found it was in general compliance with the 2030 plan. It's in compliance with promoting a welcoming gateway feature, and we recommend approval for that portion of the application. They've also requested a zoning map amendment from RS 180 and RA 200 county to a designation of general business. They've not submitted a official landscape plan. What you see in front of you is what's been presented, but have agreed to meet all requirements. And the biggest pinch point on the entire process, which basically required that the Planning Commission ask for more time for the applicant to resubmit, is their traffic study, and that has been submitted originally. That we found some issues with it. Our traffic engineer worked with their traffic engineer, requested additional data. The data was collected and presented, and we received full approval for those traffic conditions, and the approval is conditioned that they implement those improvements into the site once it's developed. Now, I just want everyone to remember that ultimately the Georgia DOT and the Gwinnett DOT will have final say on what happens over there. The traffic study is just a glimpse into the projected traffic patterns that we may see as a result of this development. So once again, Georgia DOT, Gwinnett DOT will have the future approval or review powers over that intersection and that development. Kroger is also another pinch point was the architecture. They originally had provided some architecture that was not in line with the city ordinances, so we asked for them to basically try again. When we originally toured the one in Athens, it was a more traditional stone and brick building, articulated elevations, and it made it not look so much like a giant box. We were pleased with that, so they've submitted those. This is the exact store. I know it's a little harder to see up here, but these are in general compliance with our codes now. There may be some small administrative variances, but for the most part, we believe it's pretty close. Here's some pictures. Kind of. Now, they've also requested the conditional use permit for the fuel station. They've met all the requirements of the fuel station, which is basically just locational requirements for the tanks, setbacks from the right-of-way, so on and so forth, and you can see it on the bottom of the site plan there. Adjacent to US 78, there'd be a canopy, much like what you see over in Grayson now. We recommend approval for that. They've also requested a few variances. They've asked to have a little flexibility on their monument sign on Rosebud and be allowed to increase its size. We're okay with that as long as the increase is utilized to also advertise their out parcel too. We don't want to have Rosebud littered with a lot of signs or too big of signs as you enter into a residential area. We recommend approval with conditions that they consider out parcel 2 on the main monument sign as well. They've also requested to be able to use the retaining walls for signage. They're not very large walls, but there is a wall that will run basically on the the western border of the property, and then the front, there'll be a small wall able to make the grades work on there. We allow them up to 10% to use on there, and I also believe there's been some conversations with Kroger to allow some of Snellville's directional and locational kind of gateway feature signage within their area to closer to the corner of Rosebud and 78. They've been open to that. They've also asked that they not have to shield the mechanicals on the rear of the building. Given the dense plantings on the rear there, there's going to be a 60-foot buffer, which they've agreed to. They've also agreed to replant that buffer wherever it needs to be in order to get, as thick as we need to, because there is residential uses to the rear. So we're okay with that as long as it remains screened by that vegetation in the future, and any future development is still screened from that down the road. They have asked for one variance that we've recommended denial for. There's, as you can see on the corner, the adjacent to US 78, there's Mrs. Foster's property there. As a requirement of the corridor overlay, which this development would come under if it were annexed in, you're required to provide interparcel access, at least a stub and an easement for future connection by a future property owner there on the corner. From what I understand, Kroger did have that property under contract, no longer under contract, and they haven't been able to sit down at the table with that owner and figure out a way to make that happen. But as much interparcel access as we have in the city, I think it's imperative that they at least make the stub there and provide a spot for the property owner to make in the future. So we recommend a denial for that variance. They've also asked to be able to plant the buffer more heavily and have some of those credits count towards their TDUs. Obviously, they're going to have a huge tree bank to fill because of the space, and we thought that was reasonable given that they've pretty much planted every spot that they can, plus they've agreed to leave the full buffer intact. So one more variance, and it deals with the architecture. Typically when any development is adjacent to a residentially zoned property, you have to use brick on all sides. Given the topography adjacent to the west side, it's a huge ravine, a giant forest as well. Outside, we felt that it was okay to use the concrete block there because it will never be seen by the public or any adjacent property owners. As well as the rear of the building, it's the same situation. So we recommend approval for those variances. It's not going to be seen by anyone except maybe the truck drivers. So with all those facts in mind, we've recommended approval for the annexation, the land use plan, the amendment to the official zoning map, as well as the approval of the conditional use permit with submitted conditions from the Planning Commission, Planning Department that were approved last time under the Planning Commission hearing.
Any questions for Mr. Thompson?
This is going to have a dramatic influence on the pervious surface square footage. And I'm just wondering how that is going to work with potential drainage issues. There's obviously a detention pond at the back. What do you see as the implications of runoff?
Now, the state of Georgia sets, they have what you call a stormwater management regulation. It's a stormwater Bible. It's a set of rules that are applicable across the state that deal with impervious surfaces, how you retain, treat, and control water coming off of any site, commercial, residential, and those rules will have to be followed here within the city. Our engineer will inspect and review that those are being followed before they even have any plans approved. So all the water that is currently found on that property is going to be directed to that detention pond where it's going to be cleaned and detained and typically let out at a rate slower than it would before it's developed. So stormwater regs over time, especially in the last 10 or 15 years, have really increased because it's become a huge issue with our waterways and sedimentation and erosion. So they'll have to follow those rules.
So this should improve the situation flowing toward the lake.
It won't make it any worse, and typically it does make it better because it provides a treatment facility too.
And what kind of increase on the sign square footage are they requesting, on the monument signs?
I think it was basically negligible if you took the two parcels and put them together. All right, and they would get 65 for that second parcel at least, so you're basically going from 185 to 215 square feet, thereabouts.
Any other questions?
Yes. Jason, on the access points onto Rosebud Road, The first one closest to 78, is that going to be in access with, if someone's coming out of that shopping center, they'll be able to turn left, or is that going to be right in, right out only?
Yeah, from what I understand now, it's been proposed as a right-in, right-out, full access drive to be aligned with Midway. Now, I understand during the planning commission process that there was some concern from citizens about making that connection there at the Midway Shopping Center because of the concern of conflicting drives, and Kroger said that they're more than willing to redirect that drive a little further down Rosebud if that helps, but ultimately Gwinnett County is going to set that driveway point. But they are open to moving it down if that makes everybody feel better. And I'll let the traffic engineer speak to that a little bit more. Kroger's.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's already tough to pull out of the Midway if you're turning left. I'm just wondering if we're adding another left turn there, but I don't know that that would be improved at all if you offset those entrances, because then you might have a car coming out of one, not,
Right.
you know.
Well, it does.
That's traffic people.
It does allow that stacking lane that's currently there to turn left from Rosebud onto US 78 to remain in its full length, and putting that drive there was going to cut a few cars off of that, so I'll let their guy speak to that a little bit better. He had a good response last time.
Okay. And then the one further down, of course, that would have.
Yeah,
right
that's
in,
full
right-
access.
That would
yeah.
have left turn out, okay.
Any other questions for staff? Thank you, Jason. Is the applicant with us? Please state your name and your address for record, please.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council. My name is Aron Hawkins, 343 Atlantis Avenue, Atlanta, Georgia, 30307. I'm here on behalf of the Kroger Company. I'm a real estate manager for the Southeast region. And just to give you kind of a little background on the project overall, we currently lease our store across the street from this property. It is a 63,000 square foot store that we hope to, and our plan is to relocate all of our employees and move our store across the street to what will be a company-owned store. And for Kroger, that's been the direction moving forward. Some of the benefits we see to owning our property is we get complete control over the conditions of the center. A lot of times in centers where we lease, you know, there's potholes, roof leaks. We have no control over how to correct those. It's all up to the landlord. And unfortunately, the landlords don't move as fast as we want them to move sometimes. So the direction for our company has been to buy our real estate, the entire shopping centers, own it, so that we can make sure the conditions stay the way it's built throughout the life of that center. Just to give you a little bit more information on what's planned and the difference between a marketplace store compared to a regular Kroger store. And I'll just touch on a few of the new departments or expanded departments that you'll find. The first thing you'll find at a marketplace store is it's a drive-through pharmacy. You'll have a Starbucks, extensive general merchandise, enlarged office department, an enlarged toy department, pet department, household and home decor, women's, men's, and children's clothing, service seafood. You also have a lobster tank, a kitchen place, and then what we're really proud of is our Nature's Market, which is an expanded natural and organic food section. We'll also have an upscale deli that includes a sushi bar, a garden bar, a cheese and olive shop. Of course, we're offering a fuel center at this location. And then one new thing, this will be one of the first stores in the metro area if it gets approved, is what we call Click List. And this gives our customers the ability to order groceries online and pick it up at the store, and there's a designated area to park back near the pharmacy, and our employees will bring out your groceries to your car. So that is new for us. It's exciting. This would be one of the first stores with that offering. It's 123,000 square feet, but I can tell you that about 90,000 of that is dedicated to grocery. I mean, the aisles are wider. It's a better shopping experience. Everything else, I say everything else, but you know, the clothing, the jewelry store, all that takes up about 30,000 square feet. One variance that I like to just kind of add to that Jason mentioned was Mrs. Foster's parcel on the corner. Before we started our hearing process, we were extremely close to having her property under contract. Right before we started the process of rezoning, someone else came in and placed the property under contract without our knowledge. And at this point, we've tried everything we can to have some discussion with them about how can we make this entire site work together, including your parcel as it relates to right-of-way. And there's a large grade change that will exist between our parking field and that parcel, which is about 11 feet. So after numerous attempts of trying to talk to them and figure out who it is, we haven't had much success. One of the concerns from our corporate office is that maybe it's a competitor, it's a competing use that is, at this point, will capitalize off of the improvements we're making, the traffic signal that we're proposing. So, you know, with that being said, we would hope that you would consider granting that variance due to the fact that there is an 11-foot grade change. It wouldn't be practical to add an access point from our parking field to that parcel, and also due to the lack of cooperation. I mean, this is a large development that we would hope would blend together and work together, but we haven't had any luck of having that from whoever has that property under contract. With that being said, I have my civil engineering team, my traffic engineering here as well. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
I have a question about the stub out for the interparcel access. Even though there's that 11-foot variance in elevation, if we require you to do the stub, you're only going to be required to do it to your property line. Anything that hill, whatever it is in the way, that's their problem, not yours, correct?
It is correct. So it would be a stub at the bottom of an 11-foot retaining wall. So there'll just be a stub leading into a wall is how it would look.
Yeah, that pretty much covered my question. Jason, could you pull up the map that you currently have shows just adjust the map a little bit so we can see Miss Foster's portion of it down here. What is the size of that piece remaining? Is it roughly 3/4 of an acre? I'm just splitting the difference between the two.
I believe so.
I mean, thereabouts.
Less than an acre.
Okay.
A lot of right-of-way probably will be taken to once they have
And
that.
Is that a
that
stream
intersection.
buffer going through there? What's that?
It looks like a grade line.
Is it grade lines all that is? Okay. I can't hardly tell.
That's the shed, and I believe this is a grade line.
Okay, so the practicality of coming behind that and Kroger doing their part, which we're asking them to do, they do theirs, then it's up to whoever decides to do here to
Make the connection.
make the connection, and
Correct.
it looks like it wouldn't be very practical to
Yeah,
try to
and
do that on that end anyway, at least after it's already done.
Correct.
Okay.
Can I add on? Jason, don't go away. Okay. So we require the stub, which I'm inclined to do. I'm a very big proponent for interparcel access. I think for someone to create a situation where this parcel is only access, meaning Ms. Foster's parcel, that the only access is in and out on 78, and I don't know how you do it on Rosebud Road, with all the turn lanes and so close to the signal there. I just don't see that property really being developable with anything of size on it without that interparcel access. but I guess that property is staying in the county,
Right.
so we potentially wouldn't have control over what the county commissioners would do at that point.
Right, and just so you know, it's already been rezoned, so it sits as a commercial property now. So whether or not their corridors require interparcel access, I'm not sure. I would assume that they do. I don't know how the county would handle it. I mean, that's why it would be nice to kind of have it as part of this application, but that didn't happen.
Right.
They would also be required to give an easement and egress easement so that the cars could travel to and from in the future on their end.
Did-
That's gonna take up a considerable amount of property just right there to grant that easement.
Yeah, well, just for the future connection, it basically just for a two-way drive, it's 24 feet, so you get 999. Be 3 parking spaces probably somewhere on the western portion of Mrs. Foster's property.
I mean, honestly, what could be developed on that piece at that point?
It'd have to be something really small if they weren't able to utilize that interparcel access, so I don't know.
Okay. Oh, I had one other question too, sorry.
Where's my gavel?
The new red light being proposed, is that right now just a proposal, or has that been approved?
Yeah, I'll let them
but-
speak to that, but I understand you have to meet certain warrant measures and so on and so forth, and that it's being proposed, but their traffic study would, provide enough information for that to happen. Ultimately, GDOT has to approve it. I'm not sure if how far their preliminary discussions have gone, but their traffic engineer's here and he can speak to that.
Okay, so Kroger is actually proposing to put the red light there?
Right, they'd be responsible for any upgrades to any of the traffic system.
Thank you, Jason.
You're showing, just one more, you're showing a brown line at the western edge of Mrs. Foster's property. That's the wall, I assume you're referring to?
That's correct, right here.
Yes, right there. Okay.
Anybody else? Going once, going twice? Thank you very much, Mr. Thompson. Now we'll open it for public hearing. All those in favor or opposed, please come forward and state your claim.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Happy to see you there. I am Pat Port. I live at 1247 Summit Chase Drive, Snellville, Georgia. I am here tonight representing Summit Chase Homes Association, 220 homes. I have several concerns that I'd like to address with you. One is the 2 out parcels, and if there's any idea of what is going to happen with those, that would be nice to know. The second is the traffic on Rosebud, specifically the turn-in, turn-out lane that Ms. Bender mentioned, which is directly across from the Midway Shopping Center. At the Planning Council meeting, it was suggested by several residents that that might be considered a right-in, right-out only, unless there was some kind of an adjustment made to that, simply because you're turning into the lane, I guess it's the holding lane for the left-hand turn onto Rosebud, or onto 78. So that is a concern. I mean, even now when you try to pull out of the Midway Shopping Center onto Rosebud, you're actually having to go into the striped area to get into the, I guess it would be the southbound lane of Rosebud. And so if that was offset somehow, that might help. But it still probably should be a right-in, right-out only at that point, simply because of, until they widen Rosebud. And then my last concern, which is my biggest concern, is the water runoff into the retention pond, into the stream bed, and into Summit Chase Upper Lake, which is part of the Johnson Lake. And I'd like to give you a little history here. In Johnson Lakes, we have 2 lakes, well, actually 3. There's the Upper Lake, and there is a large earthen dam that was built in 1950. And then there is the Lower Lake, and then there is a small lake off to the south side. Summit Chase Dam has, the upper dam has been reclassified. This is probably about within the last 5 years. It's been reclassified from a Category 2 to a Category 1 dam by the Department of Natural Resources Safe Dam Department. This means that if the dam is breached, it could cause loss of life up to 2 miles downstream. The Department of Natural Resources Safe Dam Department requires that we do regular inspections of the dam, and their next on-site inspection is January the 27th. We have retained Carter Engineering. We have had them as our engineer of record for approximately the last 3 years. And they have come each year and they do an annual inspection of our dam. They just finished one in October of 2015. And then we have our Summit Chase Lake Committee that does follow-up inspections during the year. We are already very concerned about the amount of stormwater runoff that comes into the lake, especially from Brooks Drive, Green Turf, and Summit Chase Drive. Now, this is all part of the stormwater management system that was started in that area, in our area, in the 1990s. At that time, you had both. You had city, state, and county governments being able to get money from the federal government for stormwater management. And so a lot of water comes in. And I took, when I went to the Planning Commission meeting a couple of weeks ago, I mentioned this because on November the 2nd and November the 7th, I went out and I filmed. I took pictures and then I took movie pictures of the amount of water that is coming into our lake. And you would not believe the flow that comes in on Brooks Drive, and there are at least 3 areas on Green Turf that are coming into the lake. And where that is all coming from is there are, according to the report that Carter Engineering did for us, that there are 783 acres that are surrounding our lake and that feed into our lake. So, and then another time that we had met with Butch a couple of years ago, there are approximately 750 some odd parcels that are surrounding those lakes that feed into that lake with those runoffs. So when you're taking a large footprint that Kroger is going to be putting on top of that hill, which is the highest elevation in the area, or one of the highest, and that all filters down into the Brooks area, and that will come into our lake. So we are very concerned, and we ask that, I know that there are rules and regulations, but we realize that this project is probably going to go ahead, which I'm sure that it's a good thing for our community, tax-wise, and the amount of money is coming in. But we ask from Summit Chase Homes Association and the other surrounding homeowners associations that are in and around our area, that this project be done right from the beginning, and that you all hold them accountable for what is happening to our streams, our lakes, and the environment. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Port. Anyone else to speak for or against?
Good evening. Shane Lanham, 1550 North Brown Road, Suite 125 in Lawrenceville. Here on behalf of the property owner of that carved-out piece there on the corner of Highway 78 and Rosebud. Just want to briefly echo some of the concerns that have been previously raised about providing interparcel access. Would submit respectfully that interparcel access is important for smart development. It's especially important for situations such as this, where it's a major corridor, high traffic volumes. We think it's for the best of the people in the area and for traffic on the roadways. And just to briefly touch on the history of the deal, the underlying deal for this project. Mrs. Foster was in negotiations with the applicant to sell her property to them due to a variety of circumstances, one of which being Mrs. Foster is 109 years old and has some significant medical bills that she wanted to take care of sooner rather than later. So my understanding is that the new buyer was able to provide some upfront money, some better money, perhaps, that she felt she wasn't inclined to decline. So that's some background information in that regard. It's not right to close off this property, just for the property owner's position, and then also for the people of Snellville that live in this area. And then, if you will forgive me, on behalf of the property owner, I'd like to submit some constitutional objections to potential action tonight. An approval by the mayor and council of the applicant's requested variance for interparcel access relief is or would be unconstitutional, and that it would destroy the owner's property rights without first paying fair, adequate, and just compensation for such rights, in violation of Article 1, Section 1, Paragraph 2 of the Constitution of the State of Georgia of 1983, and the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States. Such action would be unconstitutional, illegal, null and void, constituting a taking of the owner's property in violation of the Just Compensation Clause of the Fifth Amendment and the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States, Article 1, Section 1, Paragraph 1, and Article 1, Section 1, Paragraph 2 of the Constitution of the State of Georgia of 1983, and the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States, denying the owner an economically viable use of their land while not substantially advancing legitimate state interests. Almost finished. The applicant's property is presently suitable for development without the requested relief. Approval of the requested relief would constitute an arbitrary and capricious act by the mayor and council without any rational basis, therefore constituting an abuse of discretion in violation of Article 1, Section 1, Paragraph 1, and Article 1, Section 1, Paragraph 2 of the Constitution of the State of Georgia, 1983, and the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States. Thank you. Accordingly, we respectfully request that the applicant's variance and request for relief from the city's interparcel access requirements be denied. Thank you.
Am I allowed to ask?
You have the floor, Ms. Bender.
Mr. Latham, do you mind, can you clarify again for me? Tell me what your role is?
I'm an attorney, and I represent the property owner
The new,
of this corner parcel.
you represent Ms. Foster or the new property owner?
Well, my understanding, I initially began my representation for Mrs. Foster. Property went under contract. I believe there may be a new owner. I didn't personally handle any closing on the property, so I'm not exactly aware of that status, but we represent Mrs. Foster, and to the extent that it's been sold to that other entity, we represent that entity.
So, as far as you know, you're representing Ms. Foster, but you don't know if you're representing someone else now or not?
I represent
I'm
Mrs. Foster,
confused.
and I represent, again, with the caveat that I didn't handle a closing on this property. I'm not exactly sure of it, but I believe the property was sold to an LLC. Trying to recall the name of it. I believe it is Life Estate Funding LLC. I also represent that entity.
So you're representing the entity, but you don't know if that entity's actually purchased this property or not?
That's correct.
Okay. And what law firm do you work for?
I work for Mahaffey, Pickens, Tucker.
Okay. And then, so what you're, I'm not a lawyer. I'm a CPA. I'm not a lawyer. I didn't even sleep at a Holiday Inn Express last night, so I'm not even going to pretend to be one. When you throw out all of the Constitution and the code sections, I kind of glaze over. I don't really know what all you're saying. So I just want to make sure I clearly understand what you're arguing for, or what the case you're presenting is, that you want to maintain the right to have the interparcel access.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, which I've already said I'm inclined to do, because I wouldn't want this piece of property. If it came before me as a separate piece of property, I would vote against anything if it didn't have interparcel access, but that's neither here nor there, because that's not before us. So you don't have that fight with me, or that issue with me, but do you understand what the applicant has said, in that the way this property is going to work out, without any kind of agreement with Ms. Foster and/or the LLC that you may or may not represent at this point and may or may not own that property. So if this property gets zoned tonight as it's designed, this property owner, Ms. Foster or whoever that you may be representing, is going to have an issue with having a stub coming into an 11-foot retaining wall. And it just seems to me that it would behoove you, rather than coming in with all of the issues with the Constitution and access to the property, that you work with the developer to work out those issues now before everything gets done.
Yes, ma'am, certainly, and we absolutely agree that working together provides a better result, and we're happy to work with the applicant in providing a more feasible interparcel access. And I apologize, I'm not trying to be cute reading these constitutional objections. It serves a very important legal function, preserving, rights and defenses for the future. So I'm not trying to be cute, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. It does serve an important legal function. We'd like to work together to provide a better result.
Thank you. Anyone else to speak for or against? Seeing no one, the applicant, if you would come forward. Have you heard,
Good evening, Mayor, Council. My name is Abdul Amer. I'm a traffic engineer that performed the traffic study for this project. I'm with A&R Engineering, 2160 Kingston Court, Marietta, Georgia, 30067. Just wanted to touch base on a couple of questions that were brought up in the discussion. My firm performed a detailed traffic impact study for this project. One is not required per city standards, and we did go ahead and perform a very detailed traffic study, and then we had the consultant that reviews these kind of studies for the city, Clark Patterson Lee, review the study and offered us some suggestions to expand the study further. And we did comply with his recommendations and expanded the study, resubmitted a revised study, and they came back and told us that they were fully satisfied with how we addressed the study. Now, subsequent to Planning Commission meeting, I met with Gwinnett County DOT along with some Kroger representatives to discuss the access. I also met with Georgia DOT, Gainesville District Office, the district traffic engineer, to discuss the proposed traffic signal. And we have done a detailed signal warrant study, which is really a requirement before Georgia DOT approves the signal. Now, the Gwinnett County DOT has looked at the proposed access, and I was very candid with them. I told some of the points that were brought up about concerns regarding the northern driveway on Rosebud Road across from the existing drive. And like I stated in the Planning Commission meeting, I'll state again, we were flexible to do whatever Gwinnett County would recommend that we do to keep this access safe for Kroger customers as well as the traveling public on Rosebud Road. Let me show you a concept plan, a revised concept plan that Gwinnett County DOT suggested. Orient you. This is Rosebud Road. That's the traffic signal there. What Gwinnett County DOT folks recommended was to provide what they call a two-way left turn lane. Some call it suicide lane, but wherever the left turn lane ends, they ask that we continue and lengthen it and stripe it as a two-way left turn lane. That lane is usually wider than the standard lane. Standard lanes are 11 or 12 feet wide. Gwinnett County recommended that we provide a 14-foot wide two-way left turn lane, and they didn't particularly like the idea of moving the driveway and sort of creating a jogged intersection. They thought that would create more of a conflict and confusion, and DOT likes to line up things but provide appropriate left turn lanes and right turn lanes. So that was their recommendation, that we provided two-way left turn lane. It provides several advantages. During off-peak time, there would be an opportunity for traffic entering the shopping center across the road to get into that left turn lane and then go in that existing center. Today, there is no left turn lane to go into that center. So that throughout the day, when it's not really the peak time, there will be that advantage for that shopping center across the road. And then during the peak times, when a longer left turn lane is needed, that traffic can just continue queuing into the extended two-way turn lane in. So anyway, we'll continue to work after the zoning is approved by the city, hopefully, to design this concept design further and get further approvals and reviews from Gwinnett County DOT. As we will do that with Georgia DOT on the traffic signal and state highway access. Now, I do want to mention that we are proposing to add a right turn lane for the driveway, northern driveway, for traffic turning right into the driveway, and of course, a left turn lane. So any turning movements into this proposed driveway will really not be blocking any through traffic on Rosebud Road per se. Our traffic study does recommend the lengths of these turn lanes, and we feel comfortable that if designed per the recommendations, this access ought to work satisfactorily. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
Actually, just to comment, going back to this intersection, the right turn in, right turn out is, to me, just, it's something I do want you to consider. Because we had I'm looking at this, but I'm looking at it as standing in the Harbor Oaks driveway and looking across at Harbor Oaks Drive from Wisteria, and how we used to have a right turnout right there. And it functionally looks the very same, except we've got 5 lanes trying to turn out right, and this. It just looks very similar and eerie, so I would just say that the right turn in and out from a non-traffic person looks like it's something to be considered.
Thank you.
Mr. Hankins, do you have anything else?
Yes, I just wanted to, there was a question about the out parcels. The out parcels and the shops as well, we don't have any plans at this time, but what we do make sure is that for the out parcels, if we sell it, it will match the center. The owners of those out parcels will sign an agreement, a declaration, we call it with us, that will make sure that the building materials and the maintenance of the parcels match our center. So that'll happen, and Kroger will have the right, if that owner does not keep that property up, to enter the property and make sure that those improvements have been made. That's in the event that we sell the out parcels. There has been cases where we'll actually build the out parcel and we'll lease it. So we don't have any plans today, but I'm sure within the next 6 to 8 months we would hear more activity if this were to get approved. And then my last point was just as it relates to Mrs. Foster's property. She has 2 access points today, and we're not asking to remove her 2 access points that exist today. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing. Do I have an action on the annexation of the property?
Motion to approve annexation 15-02.
We have a motion on the floor. We have a second.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion of the council? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving annex 15-02 signify by raising your right hand. That's 6 in favor. That's 6 in favor. There's no opposed. The motion carries. Next, we'll have the action, and I ask for an action on LUP 15-04.
Motion to approve LUP 15-04.
I have a motion on the floor. Is there a second? Second. There's a motion and a second. Any discussion of council? I'll call the question. All those in favor of approving LUP 15-04 signify by raising your right hand. That's 6 in favor, no opposed. The motion carries. Finally, we have zoning 15-05. Do I have an action on that?
Motion to approve zoning 15-05.
I have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
What
Oh, the conditions, I'm sorry.
We need to do the conditions with all staff conditions and
With all staff recommended conditions, yes.
including denial of the request for
Including
variance.
denial, correct.
So as I've got it, your motion is to approve RZ 1505 as recommended by staff, including the denial for the variance for the stub out of
That's correct.
Okay, very good. That's,
Mayor, could I ask just one question?
absolutely.
Concerning, and it's the exception. The exception is that the site plan is being modified to require interparcel access to the Foster property on the corner lot at Rosebud and Highway 78 is the purpose for the denial of that last variance request. Did I state that correctly?
Because it's not on here.
Yeah, it's correct. They basically requested to remove that interparcel access that would be required per the zoning ordinance, and we've recommended that be denied.
And so with the action that was just, the motion that was just made, it would include sticking to and requiring the overlay district requirement of
Correct.
interparcel access.
Yes, sir.
Are all council members clear on that? Okay.
I'm sorry, the conditions are for the RZ or for the CUP? The RZ, gotcha.
Okay. All right, there's no more discussion. I'll call the question. All those in favor of approval?
Did we get a second?
I'm sorry?
Did we get a second?
Yeah, we have. You want a second? I apologize. I need a second for that motion.
Second, I'll second,
Councilman Howard. This is complicated. I apologize for stumbling through it. It's mostly my fault. Okay, then I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. That's 6 in favor, no opposed. The motion carries. And finally, CUP 15-06. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve CUP 15-06 with the staff recommended conditions.
I have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion of council? Seeing none, I call the question. All those in favor of approving CUP 15-06 signify by raising your right hand. Again, that's 6 approved, no one in opposition is passed. Okay, that ends up our public hearing. We don't have any old business. We're going to new business. A is consideration and action of award to bid of PW 151119 metal storage facility at Public Works. Mr. Howard?
Yeah, this is, just for a little background, this is basically following the stormwater regulations for what we have to do to manage our equipment and also our materials, if you will, to perform the stormwater repairs that we do. So basically, this is asking for us to award a bid for a contractor to put a large covered shed out in the back part of our Public Works Department.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion for action and consideration to award the bid for Public Works 151119 metal storage facility at Public Works in the amount of $98,620 to Riley Contracting, the lowest bidder.
I have a motion. I have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion of council? Seeing none, I call the question. All those in favor of approving the metal storage facility building for Public Works at an amount of $98,620 to be awarded to Riley Contracting and allow the mayor to execute that contract, signify by raising your right hand. That's 6 approved, no one in opposition. Once again, motion carries. Section B, ad hoc committees, I'm taking that off the agenda. We're going to be putting out some press releases on that. We want to get some more involvement by the citizens of Snellville, and you'll hear more about that coming from Brian in the future. On to item C, consideration and approval of revised age requirements. This also has been tabled. We're going to get some more information on that prior to bringing it before the council. So that ends our business. We now go to council reports. Council.
Oh, no, I don't have any reports.
We like you already. Councilwoman Lenski.
Just wanted to wish everyone an excellent holiday season, and let's take our spirit of celebration and unity into the new year.
Councilmember Bender.
Just a couple of things. Gretchen Schultz, who gave the stat report, mentioned that Kelly McAloon couldn't be here tonight to give the report herself, and that's because, for those of you who don't know, Kelly's mom has been in the hospital for about 6 weeks now and had surgery, and she's having some issues now. So Kelly has been quite busy caring for her. Just would appreciate everyone keeping Kelly and her mother in your prayers. Just also, too, a shout out to STAT and all the volunteers that made the tree lighting such a success. This has been a really great event, and I've had a lot of people comment to me how much they enjoyed coming out for it, and just loved it. And it seems like with the Christmas parade, we really do get a great crowd that comes out to help celebrate the night and bringing in the Christmas season. Just on a final note, we did have a work retreat, Butch mentioned in his comments. We did that. We wanted to go ahead and get one together, and we did it December 5th. And this mayor and council sat down with the city manager, and we really did have an excellent day. A lot of great conversation, and a lot of collaboration and really bringing things together. I would just mention that Councilman Linsky probably needs to do her homework a little bit better before she brings things to the council. That's a private joke. Actually, she was like way over prepared, more than I've ever seen on her topic. But it really was a great day. No, you're done. It was a great day. We really did have a really good discussion, and I'm really, really looking forward to the future of the city for the next 12 months and 4 years.
Thank you. Councilman Emanuel.
Thank you. Not to beat a dead horse, but I'd like to thank my co-members of the council for an excellent retreat. We did cover a lot of ground, got a lot of good things discussed, some plans put together, and some goals defined. So I think you can see a lot of really good action coming from this council in the near future. November was a really good month for giving Hunger the Boot. I want to thank Caldwell Creek Art Studio, the Cherry Hill Gallery of Antiques, and Senator P.K. Martin, all of whom initiated fundraisers and food raisers for Give Hunger the Boot for the Southeast Gwinnett Co-op. And I want you to keep thinking about that because we're going to have another challenge in January. So start storing food now because we're going to need it in January. And I hope everybody has a happy holiday, Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year.
Councilman Howard.
So I get Roger's time, part of... No, just kidding. Okay. You know, as I sit here and we start 2016, it's just a tremendous sense of gratitude that even in the Christmas season and the gratitude that we all have, I think is, you know, I think everybody can deal with their own way to show the gratitude. But when 2016 starts in this city, it will start unlike any other year has started in memories that I have of the 21 years or so that I've been here. It is, it's a wonderful feeling. It's a wonderful display. We have a lot of work to do. The onus is on us now to get done what we need to get done, and we realize that. So anyway, my thanks to the citizens for allowing us to sit here as a unified council and start the 2016 year, not only with this council, but with our citizens out there that are going to make all the difference in the world to do this. And Mr. Ackerman, my thanks to you for everything you've done. The cop cab, it wouldn't be right if I didn't say something about it. The Governor's Office of Highway Safety has invited us to participate in a venue down at the Hawks Arena. They're doing a anti-drinking and driving thing, so they've invited that to be down there. I want to talk about, you know, the shopping local thing. We can't let that go. You're going to be seeing more about that. But on a more serious note, I've talked about it in the past. The line of duty deaths this year for our police officers, 118 as a total. Now that number probably doesn't do justice to the one that has fallen. But recently, a Metropolitan Atlanta Rapid Transit Authority Police Department lost Officer Jesse Tarplin, a father, a brother, and you know, anytime we lose one of our law enforcement officers, it's tough. And we lose them in various ways. We lose them in assaults. We lose them in automobile accidents. We lose them in gunfire. We lose them all. So when you see our law enforcement people, just continue to be grateful that they're out there and they're the ones willing to do what they do every day to make us a better and safe community. So anyway, Merry Christmas. Be safe on the holidays. Thank you very much for the opportunity to sit in this chair.
Thank you. That ends council reports. Now for the mayor's report. During the recent city election, a theme emerged and became very prominent. I'm not sure whether it was the mailer of Mayor Clower's endorsement or the feeling of unity that the campaign ticket just inspired. But more than just words, the United Snellville movement has gained a groundswell of support and has quickly become the city's mantra. What better opportunity to express our desire for a united Snellville than the upcoming Martin Luther King Jr. celebration on January 18th, 2016. The MLK celebration strengthens our community, bridges barriers, creates solutions to social problems, and moves us closer to Dr. King's vision of a beloved community. I believe that this is the perfect opportunity to show all the naysayers that the United Snellville is just not a campaign slogan, but a reality. But just like winning the election, the council can't do this by itself. We need your help. Can you imagine a choir made up of members of every choir in the city? Or a march that represents the diversity of our city, walking hand in hand in unity? Letters are being sent out to all the houses of worship in Snellville area asking them for their cooperation. The first thing you can do is to ask your spiritual leader when you attend your place of worship this weekend if he received our letter, and encourage him to participate. With short notice and the holidays approaching, we need all the help and word of mouth that we can muster. Secondly, this Thursday evening at 7 p.m., we will have an initial organizational meeting to finalize our plans. If you have any interest in the United Snellville, I would ask that you attend. It'll be here in the community center. I promise that during this endeavor that we will have fun, we'll make a statement about United Snellville, and each of us will get a feeling of contributing to an event that honors both Martin Luther King and his legacy. I hope to see you Thursday night. Again, that's 7 p.m. in our community room. I want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I promise you none of us on council need to make resolutions. We have done that. And now we just have to fulfill and carry it out. I also want to thank all of you who prepared food for us this evening. This is a first, I think, in the city of Snellville that we have a potluck dinner after our meeting. I hope the food's not all cold. We tried to move it as quickly as we can, but we got Bobby and Dave, and they just slowed things up. At this point,
I have another comment I need.
At this point, I'll open the microphone to open forum. Anyone else wants to speak? What a deal. We'll see you all in the community room. Do I have a motion to adjourn? I have a motion second. All those in favor? It's approved. Bye.